What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of In the Wild. And today we are at a very special location. And to tell us that, our new friend of the show, Ashley, is going to tell us about it.
Hi, so I'm so glad you guys could be here today. My name's Ashley Whitaker. I'm the Director of Development here for Junior Achievement of Georgia in the Augusta area. And you are standing inside of our newest Discovery Center. So this Discovery Center, we work with our local school systems, especially our 6th and 7th grade students. And they come in and they basically learn how to adult. So they learn those like really important life skills like, what are taxes and what does that mean for my paycheck? They learn, how to hold a job and how to write a resume. All of those really, really fun things that we all kind of see in our everyday life, including how to balance a household budget. Every year, we will see around 15,000 students.
Oh, wow.
And going into our first full school year in September, we are forecasted to see around 14,800 students, including a small sampling of high school students, which we've never done before. And right now, we are standing in front of the Augusta University structure, which I am really, really proud of as a 2-time alum. And when the kids come in, they get to work in this facility and kind of interact as an Augusta University employee.
That's really cool. And so thank you for letting us be here in podcast today.
Yeah.
And for those watching, stay tuned because when we come back, we are going to have some folks from our College of Education and Human Development, Dr. Kim Barker, and 2 alumni who are some good friends of mine to talk about teaching and how they could potentially use this space and a little bit of everything else. So hope you're ready because here we go. Welcome, Dr. Barker, to In the Wild and to the JA Center.
Thank you, Rayshawn. It's great to be here.
Yes, this is such a cool space, isn't it?
I love it. Yes, I was here at the grand opening and it was just like amazing to see this resource for our students. So,
yeah, I was saying earlier, like it would have been so cool if when I was in middle school to have like a space like this to kind of practice adulting and seeing all the cool.
Well, even as we were later on in school, like young adults, it's a great place. Yeah. But yeah, it's just really amazing. I love this partnership.
So for our listeners out there, do you mind just doing a brief introduction and talking about just your role with the College of Education and Human Development?
Sure, I'd be glad to. I'm Kim Barker, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Teaching and Leading. And my area of expertise is literacy. And I love layering my research, teaching, and service in the community. So I'm highly involved in local schools. I just have a special heart for all teachers and their students. So it's just really the perfect combination for me.
So how did you discover that you had a passion for teaching and training teachers or future teachers?
That's a great question. So I am one of those people who I majored in English and Spanish in my undergrad, and I did not want to be a teacher at that time. Everybody was asking me, "Are you going to be a teacher?" And I kept saying no. And then I went out. I had a career in corporate communications, which was fun. And then I had children and stayed home with them for a bit. And then all of a sudden I realized, wow, I really want to be a teacher. I was volunteering in schools with my own children, and it was just a natural progression. I loved it, and so that just led to my career. So I was one of those career changers that we often have in the College of Education.
That's really cool. And how long have you been with the College of Education?
Well, I've been at AU since 2016 and in the Department of Teaching and Leading. Yeah.
So the college has definitely grown over the past couple of years. Are there any like cool, innovative strategies that you just really love that just makes a difference or makes the College of Education and Human Development like no other?
Yes, I will say that our faculty are just so passionate, so committed to our students and to the teaching profession overall and to the community, our local community and the communities we serve. And I think the fact that we really emphasize looking at children, we call it the whole child perspective. So we think about children, not just their academics, but their home life, their environment, the things that impact their learning. So I feel that our faculty go to great lengths, and we're always enthusiastic about bringing our teacher candidates into the community, into authentic settings where they can engage in different educational experiences so they can work with other professionals. We have a lot of interprofessional education and collaboration that goes on in our college. And so as a result, our students, they come away not just with the ability and the strengths to teach children, the academic subjects, but they're aware of things like their social emotional learning, the health, physical and other developmental aspects of learning and how that can impact children in the classroom.
And from my perspective, because I have a lot of friends who are now becoming parents and, they're sending their kids to school, and I guess just schools have changed a lot, especially with technology advancements, and I know a lot of people will talk about cell phone usage at schools. So I'm curious as to how do you guys teach and train future teachers on what's it like to work at a school in today's time versus 10 or 20 years ago?
Right, it has changed a lot. One thing that happens in our college is that our teacher candidates are immediately in schools. From the minute they are accepted into the program, their first courses, they usually have 25 hours of field experience for each course, and most of them take 4 courses a semester, so they're in the field for 100 hours. We make sure that their placements are intentional. They'll have a placement with pre-K and kindergarten, one of the grades, that's a band, and then they'll have 1st through 3rd and then 4th through 5th. And then they'll be in different schools, and usually in different school districts. So they have a wide variety of experience. They get to work with a lot of different teachers and young students of all ages, administrators and other professionals in the schools. And they have us there too to support. So they get a lot of very scaffolded experience immediately when they're in the programs. And we know that just makes for a stronger teacher with a bright future, long career.
Yeah, because I want to say the theme for the conversation for today was talking about how you build that resilience, because it's not always easy to be a teacher, right, for whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And you have to definitely have a heart for it. So I was curious, how do you, build them up in that way of just being prepared just holistically and to care holistically about the student, like you mentioned earlier?
Well, I think that 2 things, first of all, just having those variety of experiences. Every time they have different experiences, whether they're just observing things in the classroom or they're actually participating, they're learning from those. You cannot teach a checklist for teaching. I mean, every student's different, their parents are different, your school you're going to be in is going to have differences, and so you can't account for every possible scenario, but you can build confidence in the students so that when they go into those settings where things may be unknown, they may not have all the answers, but they know where to go to find the answers. They have the confidence to advocate for their students. And they have many, many strategies, that they've learned. They've seen good examples, and they may have seen non-examples that in the field, so they've just had authentic experience. So I think that builds that resilience and ability to deal with the unknown, but also academically, they are taking very rigorous courses so that academically they're prepared as well. So I think that makes a huge difference.
I think so too, because it makes me think of before I started podcasting, and before this role, I worked at a local high school, and I want to say similarly with my training for being at a high school, they gave us many scenarios, and they kind of gave us that talk too of hey, we can only show you so many things, right, but you're going to experience things that you may have never thought of before. Mm-hmm. And one of those situations for me was I was talking to a student about applying to college and just making the most of his time because he was an athlete at the time, and he could have done really great things. And so I'm like, yeah, he's just not progressing, and I don't understand why. And one day he had told me hey, actually, I just don't have time to care because right now my brother and I are living on our own because our mom had to go out of state because our grandmother passed away, and she has to take care of all of those things at our grandma's house, and so she's just been sending us money and kind of letting us fend for ourselves for the past couple of weeks. So I haven't thought about doing any of the stuff you've been asking me to do. And that just made me think, like, yeah, if a student is having a lot going on like that student, or especially in the case of like, yeah, he's like, we don't know how to cook, so we've just been trying to eat out and really just fending for ourselves for extended period of time, like they're not going to think about, they're not going to come to school their best selves and be able to learn.
Right. Much less think about beyond school and applying to colleges and things like that. That's a great example of considering the whole child, although that might be a whole teenager, you know. But it's still thinking about a person that has a life outside of that school building, and that's what teachers hopefully consider, all of us even, you know, even when we teach adults and young adults, you know, that we need to know that they have lives, they have other things going on, and when we consider that whole person, it really helps us to be better teachers. So you're right, our students, when they go in the field, they have met, they may for the first time be in a school where children, you know, most children in the school are hungry, or they do not have the very basic needs met. They may be housing insecure, food insecure, or living in a situation, you know, that makes it difficult for them to sleep, you know, and they come to school with some very basic needs, you know, that have not been addressed. So it's really helpful for our students, especially if they've not experienced that or seen that before, to be able to empathize and to understand, you know, that there are a lot of needs that children have, and there are a lot of resources out there. So by working alongside occupational therapists and physical therapists, nurses, other professionals, they can see, you know, how as a teacher they can connect families and children to the services that might, you know, help them and ultimately help their learning. And
you were mentioning before when we were chatting that the College of Education and Human Development has other programs to help prepare our teachers and also to help our students in the local area as well.
Right. So we have a lot of non-traditional, well, first of all, we have non-traditional experiences for them. So I first met you years ago at Children's Hospital at the neonatal intensive care unit. We took our Block 1 students, so those are first semester juniors, to Children's Hospital to do a reading project. They developed read-alouds and activities for families whose babies were in the NICU, and then they had siblings, so they worked on these sibling activities. So that's where we met. That was just one example. But we also have a program that's starting its third year called CLIMB. CLIMB stands for Collaborative Learning in Multisensory Based Environments. And that is a collaboration between the College of Education and Human Development and Occupational Therapy, AU Occupational Therapy. We have OT, graduate OT interns who are in the field for their internship. They're at the school every day. And then we have educators coming in to work with all the kindergarten through third grade students in that school every day. And they get OT infused early literacy as a special. So, you know, like art, music, PE, this is one of those, CLIMB. So that's an example of an unusual collaboration. It's one of the things I love about this area and Augusta University is that we have opportunities to try these really amazing, innovative programs and collaborate because of the collaboration and the partnerships that we have.
Yeah,
is that what you were asking?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was asking, and I was just also agree with you. Like the university is positioned really well to be able to partner in so many different ways.
Yes.
Like CLIMB, like I think that's just super cool and unique experience to help our local students here in the CSRA.
Yes, absolutely. And we know that if kids are reading on grade level by third grade, their outcomes in life are much more positive.
Oh, wow.
So it's really important that those early literacy skills are really strong. And so this is, you know, a model that we're trying that we would love to share with the world, and you know, perhaps other districts and schools could do the same thing or something similar.
Yeah, that is really cool. Are there any other, like, I guess, field experiences that students have that you think are really cool?
Let's see. I don't know if I can speak to any in depth. I know that we're always looking for new opportunities to partner and to go into different settings. Even the Discovery Center here is, you know, I'm thinking, like, what can we do in this building?
Right.
Right. So there are just so many opportunities out there. And the more we get our teachers out into different spaces where children are, families are, the better equipped they are in their classrooms.
So what is it like, I guess, after those experiences end? Like, what are your students telling you of how they went and the experience that they had and the impact that they had?
Well, I mean, we often hear that they come back and tell us how successful they are. It's amazing how many of them begin their first year of teaching and they're immediately grade level chair, or you know, some special position in their school. They go into the school as leaders usually, and our students are 100% employed. Often during student teaching before they've even graduated.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And they, you know, even if they don't come back and tell us all the details about their careers, we see how many of them are Teacher of the Year, how many of them become principals. We see them come back and get advanced degrees. And also we know that our retention rate for the 5 years is around 95%. Which is very, very high. The retention rate generally is around 40%. So we know that preparation is what makes the difference. And our teachers, when they graduate and they go into the field, they are ready, and they are ready to, like you said, handle the things that are different, the daily challenges. And because they're prepared, they're successful, which also means you're happy. If you're doing the work you love, and you're prepared to do it, then, you know, it just makes for the perfect scenario.
And what does that mean to you when you see, like, a student that you've worked with to go on to become principal or Teacher of the Year? Because I feel like with our alums, they are often nominated for teacher, like, consistently within the area. We always hear about, you know, oh yeah, that was one of ours. That's, you know, Teacher of the Year.
That's very true. Well, it's a great feeling. It's one of the, you ask about being a teacher educator, you know, why would you go from being a teacher to being a teacher of teachers? And that's one of the reasons, you know, is that, you know, when you've prepared, you've been part of that preparation of an amazing teacher or amazing principal, counselor, whatever, you know, role they go into, you know that that impact is exponential, that they are impacting the future every day. And so that is a wonderful feeling. And we're just proud of them because we know that they worked very hard to get through our program. We know that's true. And, you know, obviously they're continuing to do that in the field.
And for all of the future teachers out there who may be considering taking up, you know, to study education with our college, what would you say to them to how to prepare for the program, or what qualities or skills to kind of give them that heads up?
I think that I just talked to a young woman today who really wants to be a teacher, and she's getting some mixed messages from her family and other people who care about her, like maybe that's not the best choice, you know, and she was talking to us about that. And I was telling her that, you know, the field of teaching is a long career. It is a profession. And the things that you hear about are often the downsides of your early stage as a teacher. You know, the pay is not wonderful. You may not have as many choices in terms of what grade level and what school you're teaching for. But as you progress and you hopefully come back to us and get advanced degrees, your salary goes up, you have years of experience. All of that is the way that teacher pay is calculated in school districts. And it's a career that is stable, and that you can build from. You can stay a teacher with a bachelor's degree in your classroom if you want, or you can get multiple degrees. We offer MED, EDS, and EDD in the College of Education and Human Development. Or you might decide to be a leader. You might decide to be a principal or a counselor or some other education-related field. So there are many ways you can go. It's just sort of the starting point. Also, I want to mention that we have worked with Columbia County for several years. Dean Wilson has, to develop a partnership, sort of a grow your own teachers project. So students now in all of the Columbia County high schools and the virtual school can take college credit, to courses that lead to college credit toward a teaching, profession. And we hope they will come to Augusta University, but they don't have to. They can go somewhere else. We just want to encourage young people into the profession if that's where their heart is, and know that it can be a very fulfilling and lucrative career.
Well, thank you again for being here, Dr. Barker, and thank you for all the work that you do with our students. It definitely has an impact, and we appreciate you.
Well, I am happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Dr. Lorraine Evans, and I'm the Executive Director of the Academic Success Center. Augusta University wants all of our students to be successful, inside and outside of the classroom. And the Academic Success Center is for that inside of the classroom part. We want all of our students to be able to reach their goals and their academic potential. At the Academic Success Center, we have peer tutors, and these are students who have taken the classes that you are now visiting them for, so they can help you learn the strategies and skills and things that you need to do for that course. We also have peer coaches, and peer coaches are going to help you with time management and new study strategies for those courses that you haven't had before. And then we have our workshops. And so once or twice a week we have workshops that are about topics specific to that week. So we'll have exam preparation workshops, or we'll have workshops about how to, manage your final schedule type thing. The Academic Success Center is here to help you be successful in your classes, and we hope to see you here.
Brandi, Poria, welcome to In the Wild. So excited to have the both of y'all, and we are in the JA Center. Brandi, you've been here before?
I have. My school was actually the grand opening school when the JA Center opened. So we were here with everybody in the county. So
what do you think of it?
I love it. The kids love it. I was nervous at first having all of our kids in one place and not knowing what's going on, but they were really interactive, involved. Everyone here was super helpful. So great experience.
And Poria, this is your first time here.
This is my first time here, and I walked in and I was like, oh, this is nice. Like, this is actually really nice. So excited to be here and look around.
Yeah, it's a really cool space. But for those who are listening, do you mind just kind of giving a brief introduction of yourselves and what year you graduated?
All right.
Because you're both alone.
My name is Brandi Henry, Brandi Sweat when I went to Augusta University. I graduated with my bachelor's in middle grades education, and I am a middle school teacher. I currently teach 6th grade at Bel Air Middle School, Bel Air K-8. We're going through a name change.
And my name is Poria Welch. I graduated from Augusta University in 2019 with my bachelor's in history and a certification in secondary education. And I'm a double JAG. So I came back for grad school where I received a master's of education in instruction with an endorsement in gifted education.
Impressive.
And I am a teacher also in Richmond County. I teach high school social studies.
Yeah, and that made me think of my first time meeting you both, well, with Brandi, because we lived at UV, same building, and we just kind of always kept up with each other as we both graduated. And then Poria, I remember, or I always remind you of this, of when I was an orientation leader and you were a new student and you were asking so many questions in the Facebook group.
It was a lot to process. It was so much.
But you made it through, even though you were, very inquisitive.
I was trying to make sure that it was, as I told you before, like if I didn't have the answers, my parents like, what are the answers? I was like, somebody has to give me the answers so I can give them the answers. But yeah, no, and you were always so kind, all of the OL groups. So I appreciate y'all.
And I'm curious for y'all, like at what point did you realize that you really wanted to be a teacher, in particularly for the age range that you teach? Because middle school is a very special population.
So I've always worked with children. Every job except for one, and it's still kind of children, but every job has either been summer camp counselor, mentor, something, daycare worker, babysitter, something with children. And I had an idea of maybe I'll do like physical therapy or peds doctor, but then I realized I didn't like science. And when I was younger, I used to make my friends play school. Aww. So we would grab notebooks and I would say, well, this is your assignment. And my mom was like, I think you would make a great teacher. And I was like, really? So my major has always been teaching. I never changed my major. And then I chose the grade level because I knew I wanted to graduate a little early. And I said, I'm not going into high school as a 19, 20-year-old. And then elementary school was a little too baby for me. So that's how I chose middle school.
Ooh, okay. Well, I will say, like, teaching was not what I thought I would love. I'll put it that way. So, as I said, my bachelor's is actually in history. And when I changed my major to history, I saw that you could get a secondary education certification. And with that, I was like, well, always have a backup. If you want to teach, you can teach. You might as well, type of thing. However, after really getting into the program that AU truly immerses you into, like the College of Education, like you're in there. You're in there. I really realized, like, oh, wow, like I do love this. Like, this is fun. And I will say for, I guess, secondary. So with secondary in the state of Georgia, it's actually grades 6 through 12th, but I chose, I guess, the high school age range of 9th through 12th, because I truly thought about, like, what part of school was so much fun for me personally. And I always thought about, some people don't, but I personally had a blast in high school. I really had a good time. I enjoyed the football games. I enjoyed, the pep rallies. And I was like, let me go back there, and try to work with those students and do what I can. So
I loved high school. Middle school was okay.
And I think that's what kind of drew me to middle school, because middle school is a tough age, a tough transition for a lot of students. They are finding themselves, they're balancing different hormones, they're losing their friend groups, gaining their friend groups. And so I just kind of wanted to be that teacher to kind of help them through that transitions and that tough times. And it is a tough time, but there are better, more good days than, rough stages. So I will forever stay middle school.
And going off of what you just said, Paulette, how did the College of Education and Human Development prepare y'all to deal with your grade levels, but also just in general? Like I was talking to Dr. Barker earlier about, students just having those daily challenges, and if, something's going on with them at home, that's definitely going to impact their learning when they're at school. So I'm curious if there's anything that really just stood out to y'all when you were just going through your teaching and training.
I think, like Poria said, when it comes to AU's education program, you hit the ground running. I can't speak for other programs, but I do feel like other programs, I didn't see some of my friends into their actual, training or in the field until maybe their senior year or things like that. And it was like the moment I declared, even before I applied to the education program, when I showed interest in it, they were, pulling me in and taking me on different adventures, and my professors were, hey, you should check out this conference or this program.
Oh, nice.
And once you get into the program, our classes were in the school. So once I started the AU program, I didn't even come on campus. Like, we had classes at the middle school so that we could see the day-to-day of what middle school truly looks like. And I think that helped me because it also gave you a chance to be like, no, this isn't for me. But for those who, you know, wanted it, they were able to see what middle school would look like, what class changes, and the real deal of middle school. Because in the classroom and on the PowerPoint, you know, you can only get certain experiences, but there you're like, oh, this is what's happening. So I think that's how AU kind of prepared us by, like, you know, putting us in the schools and actually teaching early. Like, I taught my first lesson my first semester in the ed program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they really show you what to expect and give you advice and feedback and things like that. And I appreciate that it didn't take me getting until my senior year to see or experience those things.
That's awesome.
Yes, and like Brandi said, they are going to, and like when you are first starting, it is very nerve-wracking. You know, they're like, oh, well, yeah, have a lesson plan and get up and teach. And it's like, oh, whoa, no, like, but looking back, I truly see now that, yes, and like I said, AU also did a great job with teaching us like the theory and all of those other parts of education, but to teach, you really have to do it. Like, I don't know any other way to become comfortable with your students. The way they pushed relationship building with the students. I also, something else I really enjoyed that AU does is they send you to all of the surrounding counties. So like by the time you graduate, you know, like, okay, well, like, I think I may want to stay in Richmond. Oh, I really like Columbia. I was like out in like I can't think of the name of the county now, but
McDuffie?
yes, like Thompson, McDuffie area, like you're everywhere. And all of those school systems have their unique characteristics about them. And I will say too, we don't have Ed TPA anymore, but that was the test that teachers had to take. And I really enjoyed that. By the time you graduated, you were already certified. Whereas with other programs, you would graduate and then you would have to go, kind of like seek the certification on your own. So the way that they helped you through that program, they were for real. Like, and I enjoyed the professors. I enjoyed the time that I spent in the schools with all of like the mentor teachers that I had. And like you said, just very much boots on the ground, because like the professors were coming, like they're coming to the school, they're coming to look in at you, like what are you doing? And yeah, I feel like there's still, I was just nerves, like a first year teacher in general, but overall, like I was pretty confident, like, okay, like I have what it takes to impart the knowledge that, like the Georgia standard, like want us to do. Yeah. So yeah.
And I think, too, another thing I really appreciate about AU, again, I can't speak for other programs or other schools, but we had a lot of one-on-ones with our professors. We had a lot of sit-downs, and even though we had the class settings, but there were a lot of, okay, I came and observed your lesson. This is what you did really well. This is what I think you should work on. And I think those one-on-ones, one, gave me a relationship with my professors, some that I'm still in contact with till this day, like that wrote my recommendation letters for, my graduate school. And then just also helping you build that confidence, because there were times where it's like, I don't think this is for me. And they're like, no, I've seen it on camera. I've seen you in person. This is what you can do. Focus on this. And I think I truly appreciated that at that time, because like Poria said, it's nerve-wracking when you're 18, 19, over 35 students at one time. And so it truly prepares you.
What would you say are some common misconceptions about teaching today? Because obviously teaching and the way students learn is different from when we were in middle school and high school. So I'm curious, just from y'all's perspective, what would you say are some misconceptions that people may not think about?
That's a difficult one. I think the main thing for me is people thinking that the kids are bad. That's what I hear a lot. Oh, the kids are bad. But it's like, are they truly bad, or are they in a bad place? And so learning, how to navigate some of those behavior issues. One of my, still to this day, my favorite class that I've taken at AU is the classroom management class, because it not only taught you like, oh, this is your routines that you need to have. It gave you the real, okay, these kids that may be dealing with this at home, they, may be coming from this bad environment. How do you handle this, from a teacher standpoint? And so when people always say, oh, I don't know how you deal with those bad kids. And it's like, I learned them. I build a relationship with them. And then once I build that relationship, which AU really focused on relationship and rapport. If I didn't learn any, if I didn't learn any 2 words in the education program, I learned relationship and rapport. And so building that just kind of helped with that misconception, because going into the schools, I didn't know what to expect. People always say, I don't know how you want to be a teacher. Those kids are bad. You're going to run away. And you hear a lot of teachers quitting in the middle of the school year and things like that. But because, again, we hit the ground running from the beginning and we were given those resources and tools, I felt successful and confident in my first year.
I would say a misconception would be that, I would say that like teachers aren't qualified. Yeah, because just like, me and Brandi are sitting here talking, like we've done the work. Like we have put in the effort, the time, like the care for our students, so, and just being overall qualified. So yes, we have to know content to be able to teach the students, but like Brandi said, like also trying to balance content with emotional needs of students. So as people know, but I really don't think they understand like how like deep it goes. Like teachers wear a lot of hats, so I do have to go from very sad stories that my students come in and they tell me we have to deal with, we have to address, to now, okay, this is the Columbian Exchange, let's roll with it. So I guess, I feel like that's something. So just being qualified in all areas, whether it's content or whether it's dealing with like the needs of the students, it is something you have to prepare for. It's not just, get in there and teach those kids. Like, no, like this takes years to really hammer down. Like, even as a teacher now, like this will be year 5 for me. You learn something new every year. Like it's going to be like something else, because like no classroom is the same, no day is the same. What you get from first period to 7th period it's a completely different group. So in a way, as a teacher, you're always learning, you're always growing, you're always like, I guess, perfecting the craft. So yeah.
What have been some of y'all's favorite memories teaching so far?
Oh, fair. I have a lot of
Yeah, I would say, it's a lot of like fun stuff that happens.
Fun memories, because like Poria said, there's no day that's one, that's the same. Truly, I think the best part for me is every day when the kids come there and they're excited to see you. There may be days where I'm like, oh, I don't feel like going to work. Like, I'm so tired. And then you get there and they're just like, hi, Miss Henry, did you have a good weekend? Da, da, da. And so just being that light for them, because truly last year, my students didn't want to miss school. They were, if they got checked out for a doctor's appointment in the middle of the day, they were coming back. And the last day of school, most kids don't come on last day of school, especially because we have half days. All of our kids showed up. We were the only grade level where all of our students showed up on the last day of school. And so seeing that they want to be there and be with us, that's kind of the overall best memory for me. It's just being that light for them and them being excited to come to school, because you have some kids that truly hate school. They beg not to go. So seeing, them want to come, that's the best gift for me.
And I guess kind of like sum up the memories. I really enjoy, like I said, even now it always surprises me, I guess like how your students learn you as a person, so I'm like, like I said, we as teachers, we watch them, we learn them, like, okay, well, they don't normally put their hair down, their head is down today, so like, what's up? But just even like I said, with my my high school students, I actually was not having the best morning. I think I got like some, like some family stuff, and I wasn't just how I normally am. And my first period, actually, they started, I was like, Miss Welch, what's wrong with you? Are you okay today? And I was like, oh, wow. Like, so just to see that your students also take you into account as well. And like I said, they notice the smallest things, like, oh, like you took your nails off. I was like, oh, wow, like,
Not the nail.
yeah, you know, like they notice everything.
They do.
Down to, I'll kid you not, like my like breakfast and lunch. Like I normally come in with like a smoothie, and I remember one day I came in with Waffle House, and they were truly just like, you off your diet plan. I said, wait, no, I just wanted a Waffle House today. Like, so I always, I don't want to put it, children in general, like you never realize what they're taking in and absorbing. So to really see that, oh no, like you all are watching. So let me continue to put my best foot forward, like in the classroom, outside of the classroom, wherever, you know, they may see me. So.
Oh yeah, they definitely watch. I remember my first year teaching for teacher appreciation. I was gifted a lot of Reese's and a lot of honey buns and a lot of Sprites, and it's like they didn't ask what I wanted. They just took into consideration things that they saw me with on the daily. Like they noticed I eat a honey bun or a muffin for breakfast, or I'll drink a Sprite at lunch. And so those are the things that they would just kind of bring in. And so they are definitely watching and paying attention.
And I think that's so sweet. Yeah, I think that's, especially like I said, with the older students, I do feel like they get the reputation of just being like not as caring, not as kind. But no, like those are actually some of the sweetest children. Yeah.
So switching gears a little bit, I'm curious of y'all's thoughts on working with parents in today's world. 'Cause that's a different dynamic as well.
Yeah.
Especially with like, you know, technology that we didn't have when we were in school, or I remember, you know, in high school, like, you know, cell phones were banned, and you know, it was a really big deal if you had any technology at all carried around with you. And now it's a very common thing. Parents use that to communicate with their kids throughout all parts of the day, but also y'all use it to communicate with parents directly, and you have the opportunity to communicate with them throughout all parts of the day. So I'm curious of like what it's like to interact and I guess sometimes just work with parents as middle and a high school teacher.
Yeah. So I think for me, the biggest thing I can do is learn my parents. Just like you have to learn your students, you have to learn the parents. Like there are some parents I know, it could be the smallest thing, but if I call this child's mom, they are going to get the business. So I have to really think, does this student deserve a phone call home? Because I know that their parents don't play. And then vice versa, like, this child's parents are not going to do anything. I'll be wasting my breath if I call home. So I think the best advice I can give is just learning your parents, and you learn them by communicating with them. And so one of the things that I focus on is not only calling when there's an issue. Sometimes, you know, I call if Johnny didn't turn in work for 2 weeks straight, and then he turned in something. Hey, just to let you know, Johnny turned in his assignment. I'm so proud of him. And then when they get home and they receive that praise, now they want to do it again. And if you communicate when there's positive things, they're also receptive when you have to make that negative or bad phone call. So you just have to kind of learn your parents. Technology does help because I don't feel like I spend hours on the actual phone. A lot of my parents, we communicate through like Remind app or Class Dojo, quick messages. And so that's very easy, but you just have to really learn your parents, learn how they like to communicate, what works best for them, because there are some parents who think their children can do no wrong, and that's okay, because middle school, for me, I teach 6th grade, so they're just coming into middle school, so the parents are learning middle school as well. We're trying to help them navigate getting out of that elementary phase of, sending a weekly checklist every week, or, you know, things like that. So we're kind of guiding the parents too.
1 second. Let's see. It's on one of the lights. I think it might be. Let's try to check the batteries on the lights. I got 2. However you want to start it.
What about you, Poria?
I would say Also, I was just in the beginning of the school year, making sure that you also establish rituals with your parents, or just like those same like type of policies and procedure. Of course, like you're dealing with adults, so they'll be different, but just still making sure that as a teacher, I set the tone. And I guess I didn't realize, like Brandi does teach 6th grade, and I primarily have 9th graders. So you're coming into middle school, and now you're also coming into high school, which is a completely different ball game as well. So you do have the parents that are still like, okay, what about this? And do you need this? And I always love that. But majority of the time you see high school being more of the hands off. And what I always try to encourage my parents is that that's not the case. Like, your child still needs you now, maybe even more, because there's just a lot more to get into, more people, more things for them to discuss. So always doing that, like establishing that with them. I am a phone call person. I will have an email, like a parent will send me an email about something, and I may start to type it out. I was like, you know what, actually, no, I'm gonna give them a phone call. Just go ahead and call. And I have found that really goes a long way, because they're not expecting a call. Like, oh, like, no, like, thank you for calling to really clear this up. I appreciate you. Well, I just feel like I never want like tone to be read wrong. I never want anything, that's written to just be taken the wrong way. So I was like, let me call. Let me just also try to see. I'm like, really just like getting to know the parents more, or just letting them know that, hey, like, I am here for your child's success. Like, we both want the same thing, so how can we get little Johnny, little Susie to the finish line? So, yeah, and I feel like just as people, everybody's going to be different, so just dealing with people accordingly, but of course always showing grace, compassion, yeah.
I love that. And switching gears a little bit, I'm curious just for when you guys were both students on campus, because both of y'all were involved in different things and some of the same things. What were some of your favorite memories? But also, since for Augusta University, our tagline has been an experience like no other. So I'm curious, how has Augusta University been an experience like no other for you?
Oh, I truly enjoyed Augusta University. Both of my cousin and my sister went to like an HBCU, and they're like, you need to go to an HBCU. You're not getting a full college experience. And it's like, I most definitely am. One thing I think that I really enjoyed about AU is how close we were. I feel like, your grade level or, your year, those that you came in with, like, we were communicating. We had group chats before we even stepped foot on AU. Once we learned who our roommates were and things like that. And we were like always together, until we got into our programs and we kind of started going our separate ways. But freshman and sophomore year, I think AU truly gave us an experience of having a village. Like, some of us, we were cooking, and hey, you come over, you grab a plate, because this person, they can't, they may not know how to cook. And I remember teaching somebody how to do laundry, and they were teaching me how to, do something in my car. And so it's just, we had really a sense of community. And I think that's what I loved most about AU.
And I have to, like I say, piggyback off Brandi, the community experience, it was a great time. Being able to meet new people and different people, but also sharing commonalities. Like, no, we all are here. We all are, trying to get a college degree, or like we're all going through like the same kind of hardships and struggles. Like, oh, did you take? Like I said, I came in psych pre-med, and it's like I just remember like we just know like 1107. That's all. You know what I mean? Like that. Even now it's like so. Yeah. Just being able to share and relate, and I do feel like that the programs AU did, like I said, orientation, such a great time. Even when I was able to go back and become an orientation leader, like I loved every bit of it. Retreat week for sure. I think that was such amazing. Now that I'm like looking back at it, like of course we were adults then, but like even just older now. That was such a brilliant idea.
Did you come
Like,
in for retreat week, or were you a retreat week leader?
No, I came in for retreat
So
week.
I
Yeah.
never did
Yeah.
retreat week, but I was a
Yeah.
retreat week leader, and I was like, wow, this is a really great
Yeah, it
experience that they're
was.
giving to the
Yes.
kids.
That was because then like by the time you came, like it wasn't, oh, like you don't know where to go. Like, no, you do know. I know exactly where to go.
Yeah.
Actually, I know who to talk to. And I just outside of the student body, my professors. Like I especially, like I said, the history department. Like I said, that is what my undergrad degree is in. I enjoyed them dearly. Like you could go to them, you could talk to them. And I would never forget to, just while I was an undergrad, my grandma passed away. And that was a very hard time for me. And my professors, history and education, showed nothing but compassion. Like would even check on me, like just after class, like, hey, like how are you today? Like what, that type of stuff. As a teacher now, and like just being on both sides, like I see how it goes both ways, and I will always appreciate AU for the community that they really purposefully try to build. You know what I mean? Because it's very intentional, like the programs that they create for the students. And as a student, if you take advantage of it, I'll put it that way, you do have to take advantage of it. It's great. It is.
Because even like how they I don't know if they still do it, but I remember my roommates were like those three, they went to the same school, but I went to the school around the corner, and it was like, well, y'all came from the same county, from the same city, and it's like, so we already had a connection. Like we had some of the same mutual friends, and two of them, even though they went to the same school, they didn't know each other, but them pairing us with people that we had common, characteristics or, similarities in really made the experience much better because there was a point where we were taking turns of who was driving home because we were going back to the same area. So one weekend, one break, I may drive and everybody pitching gas or whatever. And so even how they did the roommates just showed that they were invested in building that community.
Yes. Yeah.
Before I let y'all go, for those who may be watching and just curious about, hey, I wonder what advice they may have if I want to be a middle school teacher, or I want to be a high school teacher, what advice would you give them?
My advice, if you want to be a middle school teacher, is one, make sure you work with children. And there's plenty of counseling or mentor groups or even volunteer opportunities where you can work with children in the age range that you want, and just find, where your place is, because teaching will come easy. The lesson planning will come easy, the content will come easy, but you have to make sure that you love children, and knowing that every day is not the same. If you are a person that, my schedule has to be set and, my day-to-day needs to be organized, you might want to reconsider, because you can have a full lesson plan and then it's like, fire drill, pep rally, these volunteers are in the building, we have an assembly plan. And so you just really have to make sure you're flexible, but truly just make sure you enjoy children. And if you enjoy children, everything else will come.
I would say, remember that every day is a new day. And I say that because how do I want to put it? Yes, we have been trained to a certain extent to deal with like student behavior, student attitudes, but that doesn't make it less hard. That does not take away from it. So making sure to still give your students a clean slate every day. And I will say that my students notice that, like, it was all like, you're not upset. I was like, no. It's a new day. It's a new day. So take every day as it comes. And just give those students that courtesy.
Yeah, because you have to remember, they're children. Like there are some adults who are still learning the world. And these are children who have obviously never been here before, so they're navigating the world. So you just want to practice that grace and forgiveness, because I've had a student curse me out at breakfast and by lunch.
wow.
Hey, Miss Henry, you want this Snicker? Yeah. Like, yeah, babe, sure. Thank you. And so just know that they're learning the world. Especially in middle school, they're learning their emotions. And so you can't lose control, because if you lose control, they're like, oh, I have a reason to lose control. This adult is losing control. So I, as a child too. But if you practice, that patience with them, then they'll reciprocate.
They will, yeah. And once they do see that, like, oh, well, like, no, like they're not turning up with me. Like, no, like we're not doing this. So let's talk about what just happened. How do you feel? And then they will just say, like, I didn't understand. And I'm just like, okay, well, did you have to do all of that before you said it? Now we're giggling. And I was like, okay, Miss Welch. I was like, okay, yeah, like we don't have to take it that far next time.
Yeah.
Like, just. So yeah, every day has to be a new day. And Brandi's instance with lunch, every hour. Every hour is a new hour.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much for being here and talking to me, and thank you for all the work that you are doing to build the next generation up to be future leaders. And thank you for all the things that you've done when you were students at Augusta University.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. This was a joy.
All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I certainly did enjoy talking to Brandi, Poria, Dr. Barker, and as well as having Ashley to talk a little bit about the space. It's such a cool space. I really love the space. I wish I had it when I was in middle school. I'm not from Augusta, so I probably wouldn't have been able to use it anyway, but definitely check it out. And if you want to learn more about the J Center, there will probably be a link somewhere right here floating above me right now. And if you like this episode, please like, subscribe, do all of those things. Tell us what you liked about it, and tell us online, especially on our Instagram, if you would have used the space if you were in middle school. And if you're in middle school watching this and then you use the space, tell us what you like about it. So have that conversation there. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Go Jags.